Hey everybody, it is time for the Algebra 3-4 lesson on Chapter 7.1, which is Distance and Midpoint Formula. This is actually going to be a pretty short lesson. As you can see, your homework is only 4 problems. All you need to be able to know for this problem, or for this unit here, is to be able to find the distance between 2 points. And we're just going to do a couple of examples just to make sure you guys know what's happening. I'm going to go ahead and find the distance between a couple of sets of points here. So I'm going to show you guys an example 1 here. Example 1 says I'm going to find the distance between, say, these points, -4, -10, comma, -3, comma, -11. So the distance formula here is written as follows: d equals the square root of x sub 1 minus x sub 2 squared plus y sub 1 minus y sub 2 quantity squared. So let's go ahead and just pump these things into the distance formula and see what we get. I know that this is x sub 1, this is y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2 here. So let's go ahead and just pump it in. To get the distance is going to be equal to all of this stuff here. So I've got -4 minus -3 quantity squared plus -10 minus -11 quantity squared. So remember, the way we move, we've got to stay consistent. So it's got to be from here to here, and then from -10 to -11, or vice versa, depending on which way you're going. So let's go and just hash this out. We plugged, and now it's time to chug. This is positive, so -4 plus 3 is -1 squared, plus -10 plus 11 is 1 squared. So -1 squared is 1 plus 1, that is 2, and don't forget, the entire time in this problem we were taking the square root of that number. So my distance between those 2 points is 2. Right? Shouldn't be that hard. The distance formula shouldn't be too much of a bear for you guys. Let's do one more just to be sure that we know what we're doing. See, scroll back up to our distance formula. Again, it's just really plugging and chugging here. If I do, say, number 2 here, let me up it a notch. I'm going to go 2 rad 3, comma, 4 rad 3. That's my first set of coordinates. My second set of coordinates is going to be 2 rad 3, comma, negative rad 3. Alright, so let's check this out. We're going to plug this into the distance formula. I'm first going to identify my parts, like this. So let's pump this in. D equals the square root of a lot of garbage here. We got 2 rad 3 minus x sub 2 is 2 rad 3, and that's going to be quantity squared, plus 4 rad 3 minus negative rad 3, quantity squared. Alright, so these are going to cancel out. That's awesome. So this is where my main computation happens. It's going to turn to a plus. I get 5 rad 3 quantity squared, and that we're taking the square root of that. And incidentally, those two can cancel each other out. My distance between these 2 points is 5 rad 3. Okay, cool. Let's do a couple of midpoint problems. Let's see here. If I'm going to try to find, now, back up. First thing about midpoint here. Notice how it's x sub 1 plus x sub 2 over 2, comma, y sub 1 plus y sub 2 over 2. Remember, midpoint is always expressed in terms of coordinates. You are trying to find the coordinates of the midpoint. So it's not like some solid number like d, or like the distance. So let's take a look at, say, example 3 here. We're going to find the midpoint between 5, 9 and 12, 18. So again, we just identify our parts. It's x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. So I'm going to pump this into my midpoint formula here. This is 5 plus 12 over 2, comma, 9 plus 18 over 2. So it looks like I've got 17 over 2, comma, 27 over 2. And that's as far as you need to go. And again, it's just average. It's the average between both of those points. Average between both of those points, which is pretty self-explanatory, I think. Okay, let's do another midpoint, and then we'll call it at that. if I say have for number 4 here, two sets of coordinates 6, comma, -5, and -2, -7. So again, midpoint formula, I'm going to go in x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. I've got my midpoint, which is 6 minus -2 over 2, comma, -5 minus -7 over 2 again. Add those two together, I get 8 over 2, comma, this looks like 2 over 2. So my final coordinates are going to be 4, comma, 1. All right, that just about does it. Please remember your homework. You only have 4 problems from this section. We're going to do midpoint and distance formula more in the next section, which is circles. See ya.